welcome to Mrs. Kirby's Kitchen. We are going to be making parchment, and I'm very excited to show you how to do that. You're going to need paper, some old coffee, or some old tea. You want to have it cool. So I made this apple cinnamon tea, and I just let it sit out. Black tea also works really well, like a breakfast tea. That's going to get a darker color. As you can see, this cinnamon tea smells really good, but my parchment's going to be a little more orangey brown, which is fine. So the goal is to turn white paper into parchment paper. Check that out. Ooh, so excited. So this is our project for chapter 6. Now, are you guys ready to get started? All right, let's do this. You should be able to, where'd my camera go? All right, so I have my paper, and this is some paper that I created using some parchment. Let's see if we can get some good lighting here. Let's just go down a little bit. You can see the difference in that it's thicker, or it feels thicker, it feels more textured. It's got that kind of distressed look. And this is an example of what happens when you don't do it super well, because I'm all drippy. See how you can tell the white in that? So this is a failed attempt. Now, in order to make parchment well, we are going to, so you can have a sink. I'm going to use a cookie sheet today. Hi. And we are going to lay down the paper. So I'm just going to take 2 pieces of paper, and I encourage everyone to do 2 pieces when they make their parchment, because when you then do our project, if you mess up on one page, then you have a spare. You have a backup, and that's a good idea. All right, so this first batch, I'm going to use this stale coffee. This is just old coffee that I didn't quite finish, and I'm just pouring it on the paper. Now, so let me angle the camera down. So I'm just on a cookie sheet, and I'm just gonna like fold this coffee to fully saturate the paper. Now, if you've made parchment before, you know that it does take a little while for it to dry. And the darker, oops, okay, so I just ripped it, and that's okay. It's gonna be very distressed. So you gotta handle this carefully. Now you have some choices. You can just lay this somewhere to dry. I like to put it on like a drying rack. Just know that if you put it on a rack like this, the lines are going to show up. And if you look super carefully, you can kind of see there are lines in mine, but I'm going to use that to help me when I write. So that's not a problem for me. All right, so this one is fully saturated in coffee, and I'm just going to place it somewhere. Before you do this, make sure you tell your parents what you're doing and that it's going to take some space, and promise your parents that you will clean it up. So I'm going to set my coffee one over here because I'm actually really curious to see how this tea one is going to work out. So I have, here's my other one that I'm going to do. So I have a separate cookie sheet, and I'm going to take my tea and I'm going to pour it on there. And oh, it's kind of a nice, like, it's more of a peach color to it. So tea or coffee, and you can use lined binder paper. That doesn't bother me. Or you can use just white printer paper. I didn't think this through. I don't know where to put this. Okay, so I'm going to dump this out. Woo! There we go. And I'm just going to lay this right on top. And I'm going to tell my family that I'm making parchment and that they are not to touch it. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then I'm just going to leave it there to dry. So I have 2 coffee ones, and I have 1 cinnamon one. The paper will smell like coffee. It'll smell like whatever you make it with. So if you don't like the smell of coffee, maybe use tea. We are going to take this final paper, and we are going to create our own version of the preamble. And that is that introductory sentence to the Constitution. We, the people of the United States. That one, that really fancy one, you are going to write that on your piece of parchment. And you can write it this way, you can write it this way, you can write it this way, either way, doesn't matter. And you get to write it in cursive or calligraphy. You get to choose. You may not print it, so you have to write it in cursive or calligraphy. Mrs. Kirby, I don't know how. You get to learn. Yes, you're welcome for this opportunity. So making our parchment is the first step, and it does take like 6 hours. So I made this one in this morning, and it's finally ready for me to write on. And that's how you make parchment. Tea or coffee, set it to dry, and I can't wait to show you in the Zoom how it turns out. All right, happy parchment making.